In today's episode of the Pathfinder Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Anastasia Hamal, and she is sailing over as the marketing manager and basically focusing on digital and growth marketing for Deeplite. And for everybody who hasn't heard about Deeplite, we're going to be sort of diving deep into what the deep tech startup is actually doing and who they're serving. And then, but primarily, we're going to be learning about growth, right? Because how do you actually market a solution like this? So we're pleased to have Anastasia on the show. Welcome.
Hello.
Very good. Yeah, give us an overview. What is Deeplite all about for us, like a 360 overview?
Sure. So we are a Canadian AI software startup. We have offices in Montreal. We are early stage, but we already have offices in Montreal and Toronto. Headquarters are in Montreal. We are Series C at the moment, preparing for Series A. And we provide software solutions for AI optimization. And I guess I would have to explain a little bit more what that means. Mm-hmm. Let's start with kind of backing up a little bit and from the bigger picture. So today, AI is used in many contexts to speed up and to optimize all sorts of tasks and processes in our daily lives. And in industrial context, it might mean, waste sorting, optimization, weather prediction, industrial farming, and you name it, many more other industries. I won't go into listing them all right now. If we talk about kind of ordinary lives and things that people use every day, it can be smartphones, speakers, cameras, cars, checkouts, even shopping online. It has AI inside it nowadays. And in that way, AI can really, transform our lives and make them better, make processes faster, etc. But it has constraints because AI and deep learning models inside AI, they can be very large, processor heavy, and power intensive. So in order to for technology to break through and truly help the humanity, it has to become smaller. The AI models have to be optimized, become smaller, faster, and more energy efficient. So Deeplite kind of does that. We help AI teams to create highly compact, high performance deep neural networks that can be run in the most constrained settings, like on super tiny chips. And they can also be more cost effective if they are implemented in the cloud. Mm-hmm. I guess, just to maybe think of what your audience can think, people would ask, okay, why would AI teams not do it themselves? So reducing the size of DNN in-house can require hiring large teams and savvy deep learning engineers, and that can be expensive and actually hard to find. Also, it can implement doing lots of trial and error when optimizing the model, but we provide that solution that allows to optimize and accelerate deep neural networks in a very easy, automatic way, and while preserving the accuracy, which is also very important. I guess I'll stop there.
Oh, makes sense. That's for sure. And what types of companies are those? Are those, like you mentioned, like industrial companies, or is this more like actual, SaaS apps that are using AI? Is it like to which degree and which types of companies is actually being used?
Well, so it can vary a lot, and my thinking is that it will be, our market will be growing even further with years. But right now, we see mostly consumer electronics, robotics, and industrial automation, steel and metal manufacturers, agriculture, e-commerce, so images, curated kind of videos, cloud analytics. Security and surveillance, and even mobile network operators that right now employ large AI teams for their IoT solutions.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So that sounds like you guys have a very technical buyer persona, right? That is learning about Deeplite and getting started. So how do they hear about Deeplite? Like, what would you say is sort of the typical journey, or in other words, the client acquisition channels that you guys are leveraging?
Well, so you say very technical. Yes, it's very deep tech. But then our personas, they can actually be, well, the end user, ML AI engineer, but also technology decision maker. And that can vary. It can be VP of AI, which is who would be really savvy about AI and machine learning. But it then can be also IT of operation, VP of IT or operations, director of technology, VP of global business transformation even. And those people, they wouldn't necessarily, be very technical, not at the extent that MLA engineer would be. So channels are also very different for those two personas. And as a startup, we're still testing and trying different channels that would work best for us, and that's why we have kind of a big span. We do events, we do lots of direct sales outreach through LinkedIn, or through partners, or just introductions. We do a lots of inbound. I'm all about inbound, right? So organic social, organic search is working very well for us, although SEO can be a little bit hard and keywords are tricky, because the language itself is kind of establishing, as well as the industry is establishing. But we actually see people typing in our name and then finding us through that, which is a very good sign. We also have lots of traffic from partner portals, and we do lots of PR. Well, we try to do quite a bit of PR, and that helps more awareness than kind of lead generation, but more getting our name out there and building our brand.
Makes sense. You mentioned the website. So what role do you attribute to the website? Like, what do you think, which role does it play in terms of client acquisition at the moment?
Well, for me, because I have a very strong digital marketing background, for me, website, of course, plays a really important role. And honestly, in the times of post-COVID world, it plays even more, because digital channels, they've become much more important than they've been before, and even events are digital at the moment. So your website has to be really clear, with very crisp messaging, not complicated, and it has to work very well. So it should be fast, optimized for SEO, SEO, and I think I answered your question, I guess.
You did. Very good. I mean, is there, I mean, I love, since you're very involved with the website, I love to ask always, like, there's always some things that our marketers also critical about the website. So what do you think is sort of the biggest strength of the website, versus where do you see the biggest room for improvement for the page?
Oh, you mean for our website at the moment? Well, we are actually rebuilding it right now. So the biggest strength is that, it's been created maybe a couple of years ago in-house, and it's very simple, because there was not much content then to kind of put in there, and it was serving one simple kind of task, is that it was a visit card kind of our company, and then there was one simple call to action, is request a trial or contact us. And I like this simplicity. I think that's essentially what it should be. Website shouldn't be a visit card, but it should be a simple gate for a end user to find out information, not too much, not too little, about your company, and then being able to kind of convert directly, hopefully directly, to an SQL.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you mentioned the conversions there a little bit. I mean, what do you what have you learned as a marketer to be like great ways to figure out why people do or do not convert on the website? Like, what sort of your tools, techniques, methods, what would you sort of, maybe with Deeplite or in previous roles do about figuring out why people do or do not convert on the website?
It's a really good question. Well, the tools that I use, I've used all sorts of different tools, and different tools make sense. Different tools can be good or not good for different companies. It depends on the context. But because I kind of specialize on startups and helping startups to grow, I prefer tools that are not very complicated to implement and that are really not very expensive, and that have a very good way to integrate in between other, solutions available on the market, because there is so much right now for tracking, for different, you can do so much, and I don't see a big use out of it if you cannot integrate it all into one picture, so that you can see your user journey, stage by stage. Let's see, someone saw the video on YouTube, then they went to their website, then let's say they went away and then they came back through social media. So that all is very important, those multi-touch kind of journeys. And so, well, just to name my favorite tools, if you want that, and what we use at Deeplite right now, what has been making sense for us is HubSpot. We use HubSpot Suite for our marketing and sales, because there is a seamless integration. We use Databox for combining all sorts of dashboards, although there are dashboards within HubSpot. But I just like how Databox works and complements all the platforms. And then we also use Airtable for project management.
Very cool. Okay, very interesting. So let's switch gears a little bit. Since we're slowly approaching the end of the interview, I would love to get to know you personally a little bit better. So I have some rapid fire questions to get to know you a bit. Are you ready for those?
Yes.
Very cool. So what's the last book you read?
So the last book I read since I've just had a baby is Creep Sheet, and it's kind of a book about how to grow small babies. It's written by a lady economist, and she took a data-driven approach. Sorry for that, my phone keeps ringing.
No worries.
She took a data-driven approach as an economist to, researching all sorts of questions that young mothers might ask themselves, and all sorts of research that's available to answer those questions, to really kind of break the cliches that are there in the motherhood.
Very cool. Congratulations at first, obviously.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Then next question would be, what's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
It's the website. So we are renovating the website, and then we've also issued a free version of our software recently. It's the community version, and we are hoping to really grow the community of users this way and allow people to kind of try our software, and also grow the community of advocates and knowledge base around the software. So those are.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, so everything is possible, what's the one thing you would fix for your role today?
I would even say, if there wouldn't be boundaries at all, I would probably solve product marketing for Deeplite. We are, of course, as any startup, resource constrained a little bit, and product marketing is something that we would really need soon. And then for everyone, I would finally solve chatbots and make them work.
Makes complete sense. For the last question, I would like to do a little bit of time travel. So let's go back to the days of the University of Helsinki. So we get back to sort of you getting out of formal education. What's the one advice you would give yourself for your career in marketing, heading off the formal path of education?
Okay, so when I finished my education, I was in Finland, in Helsinki, and I worked for a startup. And we had this really funny poster in our office which said, "Move fast and break things." Mm-hmm. And I loved it. And with years, I learned to understand what it truly means. Mm-hmm. It's actually, well, that's an advice I would give to everyone. Just, move fast. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You make a mistake, you learn from it. Stand for your opinions and trust yourself and your path.
Very good. Anastasia, really appreciate you took the time with us today to be a guest on Pathfund Presents. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Deeplite, what's the one thing that they should remember?
All right. So, well, if they are interested in AI optimization technology, they should visit our website, which is deeplite.ai. There's blog, and in our blog, we try to write articles where we explain our tech in an easy to digest way. And if they are AI and ML engineer and they are already very tech savvy, they can also go to our website and they can request the community version, the free version of our software through our website, and participate in the vibrant community of AI ML optimization.
Very cool. Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathfund Presents.
Thank you.